Hey guys, good morning. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's coming up on 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I want to talk about Glenn Beck today. He's a hardcore right wing guy. He has a channel called the Blaze TV, Trump supporting right wing. And he's one of these people that I've been reading about him that has been pushing patriotism, the patriotism of getting back to work. He's one of the ones that are actually encouraging Donald Trump to get everybody back to work so America doesn't die. Along with, I think it was Lieutenant Governor of Texas there, Richardson, I think his name was. And he's pushing it from the angle that we take acceptable risks on the highway every day. Hundreds of thousands of people die every year on the highway, but we take these risks because we go to work and we keep this economy going. Now, let me talk about my little town here. There was a drive, people going around collecting money, and then there was another drive for money for the small restaurants that are suffering right now. There was at least two different drives around town here to help our neighbors get through this. When this Glenn Beck talks about keeping America going, we're Americans. We're keeping our neighbors going. I think what Glenn Beck is talking about, it's not patriotism. It's corporate greed is what it is. I think the people like him that are and the people associated with him are the CEOs, the owners of these big corporations, the big landowners like Donald Trump was and is. People that don't even know. Like Donald Trump, he has no idea. He probably doesn't even have any idea of all the properties he owns. He has management companies that run his properties. I'm not talking about the guy here in town that maybe bought a garage and one or two buildings that we're helping. We're making sure our rent's paid here in town. Our mortgages are paid. We're making sure we all get through this. And then it's guys like the massive landowners that are worried that we're not going to give our life for the country. Like I said, it's corporate greed. It just honestly, it reminds me of slave owners. You know what? Honestly, I wasn't even. This is off the top of my head. I think it was the Ten Commandments, or no, it was or Moses. Moses, the slave drivers in Egypt, and I remember Moses was pulling the blocks of those big blocks, and there was a small woman. I think it ended up being his mother that fell down, and they were going to run over her with the block, and the slave drivers were like, "Screw it, it's an acceptable risk," kind of thing. Like this woman was going to get mowed down by a giant stone block, and the slave drivers were. No, just keep going. We can't stop production here. It's okay. She's old. Let her die. Let her grease the ground with her blood. And that's what comes to mind. That's exactly what I picture. I didn't even think of that before, but to me, that's a good analogy of what this Glenn Beck is talking about. Acceptable risk. No, it's stupidity, is what it is. He used the example of the highway, of hundreds of thousands of people dying on the highway every day, but we take that risk to get to work. But we do everything we can to make sure those highways are safe, to make sure there's not drunk drivers, the state police, the signage. We do everything we can to be smart and intelligent and absolutely minimize any damage or injury to anybody. What Glenn Beck is talking about is doing. And again, it's this anti-scientism that somehow these right-wing people, there's more of that too that really disturbs me. On the right-wing anti-scientism, that somehow they know better, or either that or their profits are more important. Their spin on the climate, is more important. That's another point too, right there. Like I said. The climate change. They ignore that data because to them it's all about the money, and it's the same thing with this coronavirus. They would rather a couple thousand older people die and we get back to work 2 weeks early, then doing the smart thing that science and medical establishments have recommended and just let it wait it out, do the smart thing, and then go back to work and get things going again. It's nothing. The bottom line here is it's nothing but corporate greed. What this Glenn Beck, what Richardson's asking here, it's two things. It's twofold. They're scared. They're scared that Trump's going to lose some percentage points. That's it right there. And it's about the corporations, the big corporations that donate money to people like Trump, that keep these wealthy billionaires, that 1% going. That 1% wants to stay that 1%. They want to keep that nice big divide between the haves and the have-nots. And that means us sacrificing our lives. Not just us, but our parents, people in their 70s. It's one of the cruelest, most compassionateless things I've witnessed. Again, it's almost akin to Nazi Germany. I hate to bring that up. It's so stereotypical of liberals. They usually bring that up, but it is. It's just eliminating the wasteful human element so the rest of the country can move on strong. No. We are the country. The 70-year-olds, the 80-year-olds. We are the country. Those are the people that made this country great. That's the greatest generation. The people that died on the beaches in World War II, that sacrificed their lives. That's the greatest generation. Now you're asking them to take another sacrifice, to die for corporate greed? Yeah, you can tell I'm getting angry now. You know what? Fuck you, Glenn Beck. Fuck you. You know, I'll look out for my neighbors. I'll look out for my fellow Americans, and we'll get through this. But we're not going to die for your profit. All right, you guys have a good Monday.